On a quiet Thursday afternoon, in a small but warmly lit apartment above the city, a young single father named Jordan Hale stared at his phone as if it had whispered a secret he wasn't ready to hear. He had spent years rebuilding his life after heartbreak, piece by piece, like a man lifting himself out of forgotten ruins. But nothing prepared him for the message he had just received. She said, "I need a boyfriend to meet my parents this weekend." He replied, "Not sleeping on the sofa, right?" The message wasn't from a stranger. It was from Maya Rivers, the calm, soft-spoken girl who lived across the hall and had quietly become a steady presence in his life. She was gentle in the way she spoke, thoughtful in the way she listened, and surprisingly brave when it came to protecting others. But she avoided talking about her family, as if her past was a door she kept locked. Jordan stood in the center of his living room, holding the phone tighter than necessary. His 7-year-old daughter, Amber, played with her crayons on the carpet, humming a little tune she always made up on the spot. The late afternoon sun filled the room with a golden warmth, but Jordan felt something else rising inside him. A strange mixture of surprise, worry, and an emotion he didn't want to name too soon. He read Maya's message again, slowly this time. "I need a boyfriend to meet my parents this weekend." Jordan wasn't the type of man who stepped into someone's personal drama. He had experienced too much disappointment to involve himself in problems that weren't his. But the truth was simple, he cared. He cared more than he wanted to admit, and Maya had never asked him for anything before. He walked to the window and looked across the hallway, where a soft light glowed beneath Maya's door. The evening air outside carried the faint sound of traffic, distant and dull. For a moment, he wondered what kind of family could make a girl like her ask for a pretend boyfriend. A family she feared? A family she wanted to impress? Or a family that never believed in her to begin with? Before he could type a response, a soft knock echoed through the apartment. Jordan opened the door, and there she was. Maya stood with her hands clasped, her eyes both hopeful and nervous. She wasn't dressed up, just a simple sweater and jeans. But there was a fragile beauty in the way she held herself, as if she had practiced confidence for years, but never mastered it fully. She spoke first, her voice calm but trembling slightly. "I know it sounds strange, and you don't have to say yes. I didn't know who else to ask." Jordan leaned against the doorway, studying her face. "What exactly am I walking into?" She hesitated, looking down at her hands. "My parents want to meet the man I'm supposedly dating." I told a small lie. It grew bigger, and now, it became real. Jordan crossed his arms. "Why me?" Maya finally looked up. "Because you're safe. Because Amber likes me. Because you're the only person in this building who treats people with kindness without expecting something back." Her words struck him deeper than she realized. Amber peeked from behind Jordan, her voice bright. Maya." Maya smiled, kneeling to meet her. Sweetheart." Drawing something pretty, Amber nodded proudly. "A family. Daddy says families can look different. They don't have to match." Those words made something shift in Maya's eyes. Something tender. Something that suggested she understood the weight of a family that didn't feel like home. Jordan's voice grew soft. "Maya, if you want me to help, you need to be honest. What are you really afraid of?" She took a breath, one that seemed to carry years of unspoken truth. "My parents think success is the only reason someone deserves love. They judge everyone. They judge me. They want to meet the man I'm supposedly good enough to be with." Jordan understood more than she knew. He had lived a version of that pain before. He stepped aside and nodded toward the sofa. "Come in." Maya entered the apartment slowly, as if the room itself offered comfort she hadn't felt in a long time. Jordan finally said the words she had been waiting for. "I'll go with you this weekend. But you need to tell me everything before we step into your parents' house." Her eyes softened. "I will. Thank you." For the first time in a long time, Jordan felt something warm spread through his chest. Not excitement, not fear. Something quieter. Something hopeful. Because sometimes, a simple request isn't really about needing a boyfriend for the weekend. Sometimes, it's the beginning of two lonely hearts finding the courage to step into a story they never expected to write together. The weekend arrived faster than any of them expected. By Saturday morning, Jordan stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of a clean button-down shirt. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't flashy. But it made him look steady, like a man who knew how to handle storms, even when he didn't choose them. Amber sat on the bed behind him, swinging her feet. "Daddy, are you nervous?" He smiled faintly. "A little." "Is Maya nervous too?" Jordan paused. "Probably more than both of us." Across the hall, Maya prepared quietly. When she walked out of her apartment, Jordan felt a small jolt he didn't show. She wore a simple navy dress that matched her calm personality. Nothing dramatic, but something about the way she carried herself, graceful, hopeful, scared, made her look like a person trying to step into a place that never welcomed her. "You look ready," Jordan said. She breathed out a soft laugh. "That's kind of you. I feel like my heart is shaking." Amber ran up and hugged Maya's leg. "You'll be okay. Daddy says brave people don't feel brave. They just do things anyway." Maya blinked slowly, touched more deeply than she expected. "Thank you, sweetheart." Jordan locked his apartment door and gently touched Maya's arm. "Remember, you're not going alone." She nodded, holding on to that sentence like it was a lifeline. They left Amber with a trusted neighbor for the day, then stepped into Jordan's car. The drive toward Maya's childhood home felt longer than it actually was. The city slowly faded behind them, replaced by quieter streets and larger houses. Homes that looked perfect from the outside, but felt cold the moment you stepped inside. Maya watched the passing scenery through the window, her voice quiet. "Growing up, my parents believed everything had a value. Success, appearances, money, even people." She looked down at her hands. Love wasn't something they talked about, only achievement. Jordan listened without interrupting. He knew that kind of world. He had lived on the edge of it once, in the life he left behind. "So when I told them I was seeing someone," she continued, "they became excited for the wrong reasons. They thought he must be wealthy, impressive, someone with status. And that's why you didn't want to tell them the truth," Jordan said. She nodded. "They wouldn't understand someone like you." He turned his head slightly. "Someone like me? A single father. A man who works hard but doesn't brag about it. Someone who's normal." Jordan almost smiled. "Normal isn't a weakness, Maya." "I know," she said quietly. "But in my parents' world, it is." The closer they got, the quieter she became. When they finally pulled up to a large stone house with a towering oak tree in front, Jordan felt the tension radiate from her. The driveway was spotless. The windows are perfect. And yet, the place felt strangely empty, like a museum built for admiration, not for living. Maya took a deep breath. "It begins." Jordan stepped out of the car and offered his hand. Not romantically, not dramatically, just a steady gesture that said, "You're safe." She took it. Inside, the house smelled of polished wood and expensive candles. A woman with sharp eyes and a perfectly styled haircut stood in the entrance, her arms crossed. This must be her mother. "Maya," she said, "you're late." Her eyes drifted to Jordan with a cool calculation. "And this must be the boyfriend." Jordan extended his hand politely.
Jordan Hale.
Her mother shook it lightly, more out of obligation than warmth. Maya's father walked in next, tall, stern, with a quiet disappointment permanently etched into his expression. "So you finally brought someone home," he said. "We were beginning to wonder if you were serious about your future." Maya stiffened. Jordan noticed immediately. He placed a gentle hand on the small of her back, support, not possession, and spoke calmly. "We're grateful to be here." Her mother's eyes flicked to his shirt, his shoes, the way he stood, measuring, judging. "So, Jordan, what do you do?" Jordan answered truthfully without embellishment. "I manage projects for a construction firm, and I'm raising my daughter on my own." A faint, disappointed smile touched her lips. "Oh, I see." Maya noticed the shift. Her throat tightened. Her father added, "Ambition is important in a man. Stability, influence. Maya needs someone who can elevate her future, not complicate it." Before Jordan could reply, Maya spoke, unexpectedly firm. Dad, that's enough. Her father blinked, surprised. Jordan looked at her, a quiet pride forming in his chest. This wasn't about pretending anymore. This was about a woman trying to stand for the life she wanted, not the life she was raised in. Her mother stepped closer. Maya, are you sure this is the man you want? A single father? A man without prestige? Jordan stayed silent. This was her fight to begin. But he stayed beside her, steady as a wall she could lean on. Maya lifted her chin and said, I didn't choose him for prestige. Her voice trembled but stayed strong. She took Jordan's hand. I chose him because he's good. The room fell into a heavy silence. Her parents didn't expect strength from her. They never had. But this was only the beginning. Silence settled over the room like a thin layer of frost, cold, quiet, and impossible to ignore. Jordan could feel Maya's hand trembling slightly in his. But she didn't let go. Not this time. Not in this house where she had spent years shrinking herself just to be accepted. Her mother crossed her arms. Good? Maya, goodness doesn't build a future. Security does. Jordan watched Maya swallow hard. For most of her life, she had folded under that voice. But not today. Today, she walked in with a truth bigger than her fear. Mom, she said softly, every secure person you forced me toward made me feel invisible. Her father's brow tightened. You're exaggerating. I'm not. Maya's voice cracked, but she pushed on. They valued your approval more than they valued me. I was a detail in their future, not a partner. Jordan felt something warm spread in his chest. Pride for a woman finally standing in her own light. Her mother pressed her lips together. And this man? You think he can give you a future? He has a child, Maya. A complicated life. Jordan finally spoke, calm and steady. With respect, ma'am, my daughter is not a complication. She's my world. And anyone who comes into my life, comes into hers with love, not fear. Maya glanced up at him, her eyes shimmering with emotion. Her father stepped forward. But what do you offer Maya that someone successful can't? Jordan met his eyes without flinching. Time, safety, respect, and a heart that doesn't treat her like a resume. It was the first time the room truly went quiet. Maya's parents weren't expecting a man who wouldn't shrink in front of them. They weren't expecting someone who didn't defend himself with status or power, but with sincerity. Her father looked at Maya again. Is this really what you want? She took a slow breath. Yes, because he sees me. Not what I should be, not what I'm supposed to be, not what you wish I was. He sees me. Her mother shook her head, unable to understand. You could have had so much more. No, Maya whispered. I could have had more pressure, not more happiness. For the first time, her parents didn't have a response. Jordan gently squeezed her hand. Let's get some air. They stepped outside, the cold breeze brushing against their faces. The oak tree near the driveway rustled quietly, as if the world itself was exhaling with them. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. I'm sorry. That wasn't easy. Jordan leaned against the car. You don't need to apologize for choosing yourself. She let out a shaky breath, half a laugh, half a sigh. I thought today would break me. It didn't, he said. You walked in, told the truth and stayed standing. That's strength, Maya. Her eyes softened. If you hadn't been there, Jordan stepped closer. Not too close. Just enough for her to feel safe. You were the one who spoke. I only stood beside you. Her gaze lifted. That meant more than you know. Before either of them could say anything else, the front door opened. Maya's father stepped out, hands in his pockets, shoulders lower than before. He walked toward them slowly. Maya, he said quietly, your mother and we worry. We don't know how to show it without pushing too hard. That's the problem, she replied. You don't see me. You see a version of me you want to fix. Her father looked at Jordan next. You're not what we pictured. Jordan nodded. I understand. But, her father continued, I saw the way you stood with her, and I respect that. It wasn't approval. Not fully. But it was the closest thing Maya had ever received. Then something unexpected happened. Her father lowered his head slightly. Maya, if he's who you choose, we want to try to understand. Maya inhaled sharply, unable to speak for a moment. Thank you, she whispered. Inside the house, her mother wasn't ready to talk, but she wasn't shutting the door either. That was another small miracle. As they walked back to the car, Maya let out a soft, relieved breath. This weekend didn't go the way I imagined. Jordan smiled gently. Most important things don't. She leaned against the car door, calm for the first time in hours. Jordan, why did you say yes to me? He met her eyes with quiet honesty. Because you looked like someone who's been strong alone for too long. Her breath caught. And, he added, because Amber adores you. She tells everyone you're her favorite neighbor. Maya laughed softly, wiping the corner of her eye. Jordan opened the passenger door for her. Come on, let's go home. As they drove back toward the city, Maya felt something new settling inside her. Peace. It wasn't the perfect weekend she had imagined. It wasn't the dramatic escape she feared. It was something gentler, something real. When they reached their building, Amber ran toward them. Daddy! Maya! She shouted, wrapping her arms around Maya's waist. Maya held her tightly. I missed you too. Jordan watched the two of them, something warm stirring inside him. A picture, gentle and unspoken, of what a future might look like if two hurting hearts chose to heal together. Later that night, as Maya stood outside her door, Jordan waited beside her. Thank you, she said softly, for everything. He shook his head. You don't owe me anything. She looked down shyly. Maybe I just needed someone to stay. His voice lowered, honest and steady. Then stay. Don't run from your own heart. For a moment, neither of them moved. The hallway was quiet, warm lights glowing softly across the walls. Slowly, Maya leaned forward and rested her forehead against his chest. Not a kiss, not a confession, just a silent trust. Jordan gently placed a hand on her back. Sometimes, love doesn't begin with fireworks. Sometimes, it begins with two people standing in a quiet hallway, choosing not to walk away. Sometimes, a story begins with a strange request. I need a boyfriend to meet my parents this weekend. Not sleeping on the sofa, right? And sometimes, those words turn into something neither of them expected. A chance at a real future. A second chance at healing. A beginning shaped by kindness. A life lesson whispered softly into the heart. In the end, the truth was simple. Love is not built on perfection. It is built on presence. On showing up when it matters. On choosing someone again and again, on their good days and their hardest days. If this story touched your heart, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing for more heartfelt stories. Your support helps us share more journeys of hope, healing, and second chances.